Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. By viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Tuesday, July 12th. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. They're called BA.4 and BA.5, the newest subvariants of the coronavirus. The numbers of people becoming infected by them are going up in San Diego County, and that's happening just as two of San Diego's biggest events are about to return for the first time in person since the pandemic began. KPBS reporter John Carroll talked to local health experts today about the latest COVID surge.
We have been watching this virus evolve rapidly.
From the White House to local hospital systems, the word is going out about the latest mutation of the coronavirus.
There's no question that we are in the midst of a surge.
Dr. William Tseng is the Assistant Area Medical Director for Kaiser Permanente in San Diego. He says everyone should be stepping up their efforts to stay safe from the virus. Masking, distancing, all the precautions we've become so familiar with over the last couple of years. And Tseng says this current surge is likely much bigger than we can measure.
The numbers that we have are ones where we're able to test. So there's a lot of numbers that we can't see at this point because a lot of them are positive when they test at home. They don't let us know about the results.
The latest surge is happening just as San Diego's two biggest events are about to unfold in person. Pride is expected to draw hundreds of thousands this weekend. Then, just a week later, Comic-Con descends on San Diego. Organizers are letting everyone know strict rules will be in place. Attendees, vendors, everyone will have to wear a mask at indoor events. The mask has to be visible outside of costumes. Verification of full vaccination status or proof of a negative test taken within 72 hours must be shown, and it's all subject to change. We asked Pride organizers what measures they're taking, but they didn't respond by the time this story went into edit.
The statement has always been, if you're outside, you're okay.
Dr. Ghazala Sharif is the chief medical officer for acute care operations at Scripps. She says being outside is safer, but
with these variants being so infectious, we still have to be extra careful.
Dr. Sharif says the number of people with COVID is climbing throughout the Scripps system, as with all hospitals in the county. We reached out to multiple people with the county health department for a comment, but no one got back to us in time for inclusion in this story. Fortunately, we are much better prepared now for an increase in cases. There are treatments like monoclonal antibodies and drugs like Paxlovid that are very effective. But you can hear the concern in the voices of Dr. Sharif and saying another surge is building, and big events with lots of people will help fuel it. John Carroll, KPBS News.
Governor Newsom has signed legislation that allows Californians to sue gun manufacturers. KPBS reporter Kitty Alvarado spoke with the author of the bill and has these details.
Well, it's well known that nearly every industry is held to account when their products cause harm or injury. Well, except one, the gun industry.
Governor Newsom signed Assembly Bill 1594 that will try to change that. The bill allows the state, local governments, and Californians to sue gun manufacturers, dealers, and retailers of firearms.
You can now go to court and hold the makers of these deadly weapons accountable.
Newsom goes on to praise the main author of the bill, San Francisco Assemblyman Phil Ting.
Too often, gun victims, all they get is thoughts and prayers after these horrific shootings. So it's really about time that we really have action.
An act of Congress in 2005 prevents people from suing gun makers when their guns are used in a crime. Ting says AB 1594 gives people the right to sue when gun makers in some way violate California state law or their products malfunction.
Just like if you got into an auto accident, if that's the driver's fault, then of course the car industry is not at fault. But if for whatever reason there was a car malfunction, then of course the auto industry would be at fault for that accident. And it's the same thing. The gun industry is the only industry right now where there is no liability. There is no responsibility. And that's what this bill does, this law does. It's game changing.
We reached out to gun manufacturer Smith & Wesson. We did not hear back. Michael Schwartz, the executive director of the San Diego County Gun Owners Political Action Committee, sent us this statement, essentially calling it a bully tactic that won't stand up in court. Ting is confident it will stand up in court because the New York law it was based on just withstood a challenge in federal court. Ting says he's thankful it was signed, but there's more work to do.
This is just one step. This is not going to eliminate gun violence. I really wish it was. But unfortunately, we're going to have to keep ensuring and doing everything possible to keep our streets safe.
Kitty Alvarado, KPBS News.
Drugs, border technology, immigration, among the issues discussed today between President Biden and Mexico's president at the White House. They agreed to spend $1.5 billion to improve smart border technology. They also reportedly called for expanding the number of work visas the U.S. issues and welcoming more refugees.
And for me and my administration, the U.S.-Mexico relationship is vital to achieve our goals of everything from the fight against COVID-19 to continuing to grow our economies, to strengthening our partnerships and addressing migration as a shared hemispheric challenge.
And President Biden also said that a major anti-smuggling operation against fentanyl traffickers has been underway since April and had led to more than 3,000 arrests. The House committee investigating the January 6th insurrection was back at it today, wanting to know just how involved extremist groups were in the violence. They also gave insight to what former White House counsel Pat Cipollone had to say during closed-door testimony. More now from Karen Kafa.
The House January 6th committee highlighting plans by extremist groups like the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys in the weeks after a key tweet by former President Donald Trump and before the Capitol insurrection.
Trump had mobilized these groups around a common goal.
Jason Van Tatenhove described the danger of the Oath Keepers, a group with which he has broken.
All I can do is thank the gods that things did not go any worse that day.
Stephen Ayers was not a member of any militia group. He described himself as a family man who supported then-President Trump. He has pleaded guilty to entering the U.S. Capitol illegally on January 6th, 2021.
I followed, President Trump, on all of the websites, he basically put out, come to Stop the Steal rally.
The panel also showed clips of closed-door testimony by former White House counsel Pat Cipollone, who gave more insight into White House conversations after the nationwide Electoral College vote on December 14th, 2020.
If your question is, did I believe we should concede the election at a point in time? Yes, I did.
Including a West Wing meeting on December 18th described as unhinged, where former Trump National Security Advisor Michael Flynn and former Trump campaign attorney Sidney Powell presented the president with baseless election fraud theories.
I don't think any of these people were providing the president with good advice. And so I didn't understand how they had gotten in.
Hours after that meeting, Trump sent a tweet telling supporters to come to a protest in D.C. on January 6th, adding, "Will be wild." In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
San Diego city leaders want to bring neighbors together and reduce crime with free community festivals. Parks After Dark will feature concerts, movies, group exercise classes, organized games, face painting, and some free meals for the kids. Events will be held at the City Heights, Linda Vista, and Skyline Hills Recreation Centers. That's every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday evening from 6 to 9 o'clock. Parks After Dark is modeled after a successful nighttime summer fun program in L.A. County.
LA's program prove that community gatherings like these can create safer neighborhoods where there is usually an uptick in crime in the summer.
We're reacting and responding to that by providing this level of programming that will take places that maybe families wouldn't want to go to under other circumstances and make them safe, welcoming places that they will want to congregate in.
There will be a police presence at the events. The mayor says he would like to see officers build better relationships with the community. The Parks After Dark celebrations will continue every weekend for the next 7 weeks at the 3 recreation centers. Another week, another beach event canceled in Coronado. The California State Games has canceled a junior lifeguard competition that was supposed to happen on Thursday over water quality concerns. As KPBS reporter Alexander Nguyen shows us, Coronado's mayor is not pleased with the county's new water safety testing method.
Up and down Coronado, you can see people out enjoying the beach, surfing, playing in the water. By all accounts, it's a perfect beach day, but not for Mayor Richard Bailey.
What we've seen over this past summer has been that the county has shut down or issued advisories for our beaches 1/3 of the summer days so far, which is simply unprecedented. And it's not because there's been any change to the underlying environmental conditions.
But that was the reason the California State Games gave for canceling the junior lifeguard competition that was set to begin Thursday in Coronado. This is the second time in 2 weeks that a beach event has been canceled in Coronado. The city's annual 4th of July rough water swim was canceled last week. In a statement, Cal State Games Executive Director Sandy Hill says, "It's unfortunate and disappointing to the athletes who are competing in the 2022 Cal State Game Junior Lifeguard competition in Coronado. Our permit was canceled due to concerns of water quality."
Since July 5th, there haven't been any advisories on Coronado beaches, and county officials are puzzled as to why officials decided to cancel the games.
Bailey says the new water safety testing method used by the county is to blame. County environmental health officials say there has been no change in what the state considers unsafe bacteria levels in the water. But the new test is more sensitive and detects both dead and live bacteria, leading to more beach advisories.
This new testing method is more accurate and really gives people information as to how contaminated is the water and how clean is the water.
County officials say the confusion might have to do with the new 3-tier sign system, which added a blue warning flag, meaning there is a southerly swell that is pushing contaminated water south of the border north. Bailey says he wants the county to go back to the test it's been using for the past 25 years because it sets a baseline everyone understands. Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
It's an unusual sight in the middle of a drought. Lake Murray is flooding. The water line is now close to the parking lot, with barbecues and picnic tables submerged. The fishing dock is also off limits for the time being. The water has been rising ever since the city reportedly stopped taking water from the reservoir because of a temporary algae bloom. The city says the water was safe to drink, but the city stopped using it because it created an earthy odor in some people's faucets.
Whoa, right? Because I've never seen it like this.
This is kind of scary, to be honest with you, yeah.
It seems like it's come up about almost a foot a day the last few days, but I just don't see how this can go on much longer. It's wild. I'm a little worried about some of these trees, you know, the eucalyptus. The facility's useless.
And the city hopes to start using the water in the coming days, and the reservoir levels should recede in the coming weeks. Progress is being made on a wildfire still burning in the Yosemite National Forest. It's burning on the edge of Mariposa Grove, home to hundreds of giant sequoias, including the 3,000-year-old grizzly giant tree. The fire now covers 5 square miles, and it's about 25% contained. Officials don't believe it will move inward, but hundreds of people were evacuated from the community of Waona.
Well, high pressure will remain to the east of the southwest for this week. Will also lead into a warming trend, and we still have to deal with some monsoonal moisture across the Four Corners. But for the most part, it is going to be dry for the majority of us. And especially as we talk about low clouds and fog, it's back into the picture, especially across the metro area tonight. Temperatures only dropping down to the mid-60s. And we could see some double fives here into Ramona overnight. Escondido dropping down to 60, El Cajon 65, Chula Vista 63. Borrego Springs, a warm night ahead. 80 degrees Mount Laguna into the lower 60s, in Campos 60 degrees as well. There's the high pressure, and that will give into this southerly flow, and it will stay hot and dry across the Great Basin. Coastal comfort for sure. That's where you're going to find much cooler air, but it will be across the Four Corners that you will be seeing some of the clouds and some of the showers in the forecast. But across San Diego County, more locally, you're looking at 71. Those are some cooler temperatures for San Diego. Escondido 82, Ramona 88. Borrego Springs still into those triple digits, and looking at Mount Laguna at 81 for tomorrow for the afternoon high. Campo will be about 92 degrees. You can see the thick clouds that you're going to be dealing with, especially for those morning hours on Wednesday. They slowly pull away after the lunch hour. You'll start to see that fade, and then they could return once again. We should see the marine layer weakening a little bit. What won't weaken will be the hot conditions across some of the Sierra, stretching up into the Great Basin. And again, this upper level high hanging around, causing some afternoon showers and storms across the Four Corners from Cedar City, just shy of the Phoenix area, even out to Albuquerque as well. Let's talk temperatures, though, across the coast. You'll see a warming trend that we mentioned once again, and humid even for your Saturday at the coast. Temperatures in the 80s, 90s return inland by Friday, and across the mountain areas, we could see a nice warming trend. 90s, though, by the weekend there for your Sunday, and triple-digit heat. Scorchers continue across the desert areas. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Michelle Rotella.
Gas prices are falling across the country, including right here in San Diego County. The average price of a gallon of regular gasoline dropped about 3 cents to $6.04, and that is the lowest amount since May. Prices have dropped more than 33 cents in the past 27 days. Experts say falling oil prices will continue to keep costs down for drivers, but for how long?
See gas prices decline another 25 to as much as 50 cents a gallon in the weeks ahead, as long as there are no unexpected outages or disruptions that could cause oil prices to reverse and go back up.
Potential disruptions include an unexpected outage, major hurricane, or data showing a stronger economy than anticipated. Of course, we are still paying far more at the pump than other parts of the country. The nationwide average is $4.65 a gallon. Major League Baseball fans may have trouble buying some peanuts, some Cracker Jacks, and other snacks during the upcoming All-Star game. Roughly 1,500 food and concession workers at LA's Dodger Stadium are preparing for a possible strike. The union says 99% of its staffers voted in favor of a strike on Sunday, demanding a fair contract. There's a little time to hammer out a deal, as the Dodgers don't have any home games between now and the All-Star game, which is scheduled for July the 19th. Padres pitcher Joe Musgrove and third baseman Manny Machado have been selected to the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Musgrove is atop of the league in many pitching categories, and Machado is having another strong season and was selected by the fans. The game will be played next Tuesday at Dodger Stadium. This weekend, San Diego will host the first full-scale San Diego Pride Parade and Festival in more than 2 years. With the celebrations, there is concern about illegal drug use that could lead to overdoses and a growing number of deaths. KPBS education reporter MG Perez tells us about a new program to save LGBTQ lives with lessons in harm reduction.
I like to keep everything in order, so it's easier to just give them what they need.
Heather Newhart has 30 years of experience in social work and drug treatment strategies. She often works on the streets, supporting homeless addicts through the Harm Reduction Coalition of San Diego. That means filling paper bags to go with toiletry items, as well as clean needles to inject illegal drugs, and boxes of Narcan, the nasal spray that revives someone who has overdosed on opioids and stops breathing.
If you want to come down here, I'll gladly give you some fentanyl strips.
Okay, These days, Newhart and her team also take calls from people who want to test their street drugs for the potent synthetic opioid fentanyl before using them. Fentanyl is 50 to 100 times stronger than morphine or heroin.
It's just so easy to overdose on a very, very small amount.
Ed Orhelis is shadowing Newhart and the Coalition street team, learning how to support addicts who are still using. He is the program leader of Step In, a new harm reduction outreach to the county's LGBTQ community. According to the National Library of Medicine, gays and other sexual minorities are more than twice as likely to abuse drugs than their straight peers. Orhelis is one of them.
I can tell you my story, but, I was actually not breathing for part of it. So
this section of Balboa Park near Morley Field is known as a cruising spot with drug activity after dark some nights. That's something Orhilis relates to. Before getting clean and sober from heroin, he tried smoking fentanyl for the first and only time.
I saw the smoke come out of my mouth, and that was it. That's all I remember. The next memory I have is I was kind of all scrunched up on my friend's couch, and I didn't understand why I was all scrunched up. And I was like, what happened? And he said, I had to hit you with Narcan. I said, I had to hit you with Narcan twice.
Narcan helped start his heart and saved his life. It also started his road to recovery from addiction. Now, Orhilis is working to get Narcan into the hands of other LGBTQ users before they die. The Step In program will provide other life-saving resources, too. The call for help begins with a simple text message to the Step In hotline.
What to do in case of an overdose, how to recognize an overdose. So we'll have a lot of information, a lot of education, and hopefully it'll give us a way to maintain that dialogue with folks that are sometimes honestly very difficult to reach.
One, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol.
Just a couple of blocks from the Pride flag, recovering addicts and alcoholics have found a safe haven at the Live and Let Live Alano Club in the heart of Hillcrest. The majority of members are LGBTQ, although anyone is welcome to attend the almost 50 meetings a week that include 12-step recovery and harm reduction. Robert Tice is one of the club's board members who is also a drug counselor in a South Bay hospital emergency room.
Fentanyl is something that will cause an overdose within seconds, and if you don't have Narcan ready, it's almost immediate death.
Tice says the crisis is that almost every street drug is now laced with fentanyl, which you can't see, smell, or taste until it's too late. The Alano Club is partnered with the county health department and provides free Narcan at the coffee bar for anyone who wants it. No questions asked. While the Alano Club is struggling to keep its doors open after a long COVID shutdown, board members are committed to whatever it takes to keep people alive.
Harm reduction meetings mean that we believe that we can't judge that abstinence-based program is the only way for you to get sober.
There's a lot of stigma that goes just with addiction. You add the fact that we're working primarily with LGBTQ population, and there's even more stigma on top of that.
Pam Highfill is the outpatient director of Stepping Stone, the nationally recognized LGBTQ recovery program with a residential facility in City Heights. She is supervising the new Step In program, reaching out to those who need help the most. Gay men and women, transgender and non-binary and asexual people dying in their addiction. When do you give up on an addict?
Never. Not me.
Ed Orhilis didn't give up either. He is carrying his story, message, and resources to addicts out there still suffering.
All of my good choices and bad choices have led me to this moment, and this is where I'm at right now.
A glimmer of hope and pride that could be just a text message away. MG Perez, KPBS News.
The San Diego Humane Society is running low on space after taking in more than 275 stray pets following the 4th of July, and now they want you to consider taking one home. In honor of National Adoption Week, the Humane Society is waiving their fees for adult dogs, cats, and small pets through the end of the month. More than 1,700 animals are in their shelters, and more than 600 are available for adoption. You can see them online at sdhumane.org/adopt, or you can visit them in person at the campuses in El Cajon, Escondido, Oceanside, and in San Diego.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, analysis of the latest revelations from the January 6th hearing. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
And the nominees are, the Emmy nominations were released today. Succession is a favorite this year with 25 nominations, and that includes Best Drama. Squid Game is up for 14, and that is the first non-English language series to be in the running for TV's top honor. Ted Lasso scored 20 nominations as it looks to earn its second consecutive Best Comedy trophy. And it is tied with The White Lotus, which also picked up 20 nods. And the Emmy Awards will be held September 12th. The new docu-series icon Unearthed Star Wars reminds viewers of the challenges that George Lucas faced to get his film made. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando has this review of the show that debuts today on Vice TV.
Star Wars is such a fixture in the pop culture landscape that we may forget how it all started.
And the agreement is that Lucas will be paid $15,000 to develop the story, $50,000 to write the script, and $100,000 to direct the film.
Icons Unearthed, Star Wars reminds us of those origins.
He sold the film to Laddie as the Dirty Dozen in outer space.
Marcia Lucas, George's ex and the Oscar-winning editor of Star Wars, is one of the fascinating interviews producer-director Brian Volk-Weiss gets. She reveals some nuggets of information that not everyone may know.
They were so behind schedule and pretty over budget. Fox was putting a lot of pressure on George to not film the ending attack on the Death Star. So Fox actually wanted the movie to end with them leaving the Death Star, having rescued Princess Leia, and no final battle.
The 6-hour docuseries takes a deep dive into the franchise Lucas created and the challenges he faced.
George needed aliens fast.
Make as many aliens as we could in 6 weeks.
The show celebrates how innovative Lucas was in creating the film, starting his own effects company, and fighting to keep the rights to what he had created. Any Star Wars fan should enjoy watching this. And if you're not a fan, then it's a show that provides a fascinating and insightful look into how films get made. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley. And by the following: and by viewers like you. Thank you.